The God Knights have made their intentions clear. The Giants of Elbath are to burn down their library and school, as well as swear their loyalty to the world government, or the lives of 10 of their children will be forfeit. This sudden declaration has caused quite the panic on the island, with half of the Giants too shocked by the news to even move a muscle, while the other half are so enraged by it that they're ready to storm over to face the God Knights, especially the family members of all the children that were kidnapped. We see a couple of them bravely declare that they'll rescue their kids and grandkids themselves, regardless of the danger, which, very heroic. I'm proud of them for their willingness to put their lives on the line for these kids, but ultimately, it's not really going to help. In fact, it's going to do the exact opposite. It's just going to give the God Knights even more leverage in this situation, because now they'd have more hostages to use to force their rule's hand in choosing to align with them. Because most of the Giants we see reacting to the news of their kids being 1 of the 10 taken were all no-names. Giants we've probably seen hanging around in the background in a couple of chapters, but are meant to be extras and nothing else. And if the 2 named Giants that have already faced the God Knights, Soul and Tusk, both who we know aren't exactly pushovers, couldn't even land a single hit on these intruders, then these background Giants wouldn't stand a chance. No, the best chance the Giants had of saving the kids was the giant warrior pirates heading over to face the God Knights, but unfortunately, they also got taken down in this chapter in probably the most inconvenient yet hilarious way possible, with their ship being attacked by the nightmare mothers conjured up by the fears of 2 of the kids, which ends up not only wrecking their ship, but also opening up some major trauma that some of the crew have about their own mothers. Also, it's worth noting that one of the mothers do kind of look like Big Mom in the shot. It's the one right there underneath the boat, and I know people have made a connection to the former Yonko and one of the nightmares before, but personally, I didn't see the resemblance, at least until now. She definitely looks like Big Mom here in the shot, but based on the dialogue from the members of the giant warrior pirates, these are definitely women that live on the island. In fact, one of them says that one of the nightmares looks exactly like his wife, and that is reason enough for him to be afraid. Now, if I had to guess, I'd bet that the Big Mom lookalike is the mother of Mug, the bigger giant kid we see kidnapped in this chapter. I only say that because I don't remember which kid said which nightmare was theirs. Also, I mean, just look at them. It kind of makes sense. And this is actually a good time to transition over to the kids, because we do see them wake up in this chapter. So, seems like Killing Cam's ability sort of has a time limit to it, as he tells Anj it's about time for the kids to wake up just before he has their name off all the kids that were taken. Or at least I assume this was due to a time limit with his powers and not just him waking them up, because I don't really see how them being awake benefits the God Knights in any way besides, I guess, using their fear to help persuade the leader of the Giants to bend the knee. But I am glad they're awake now, because it adds a bit more interest to the whole situation. Because before, with them just marching forward in silence while asleep, it was pretty easy to feel disconnected from the danger they were in due to their lack of individual personality. I mean, sure, we can recognize with our eyes that these were kids, and as such, we consciously know that we should be concerned about them being taken hostage or walking towards the fire. But subconsciously, when reading the chapter, you don't feel as concerned for them as you should, because they give off the same feeling as robots that were just ordered to march. But now we actually get to know the kids and their different personalities, which helps in making them feel more alive, and in turn makes us as the readers form a deeper connection and concern for their safety. Gotta say, my favorite out of the kids was probably Rania. She'll definitely be the one I think most fans would be the most upset about if anything were to happen to her. Same with Johanna, due to the implication that she is likely an orphan, which, based on her horns, is likely due to one or both of her parents dying during Loki's rampage a few years prior. I also liked how indifferent to the whole thing Colleen seemed to be, but I think it's pretty safe to say the kid we'll probably put the most amount of focus on out of these 9 is Livia, due to her being Ja Rule's great-great-great-granddaughter, and since he is the one that's responsible for choosing if the Giants surrender to the World Gov, Oda's going to choose to keep her in the most danger to keep up the suspense. The only kid who will probably have more screen time than her is Colin, who is at the front of the line here as they march towards the God Knight ship. And I feel like he was placed there intentionally to represent that he'll be the one to lead the kids to safety once they're free from Gunko's arrow. Because as right now, he's treated like the Loki of the new generation of Giants. None of the other kids really like him because of the fact that he's obsessed with being a warrior like their parents, while they just want to live the more peaceful lifestyle that King Carol was trying to bring to their culture. But seeing him in action against a real threat, likely one of the weaker nightmares, and it resulting in him saving them, will likely change their opinion on him. And it might even lead to at least a few of the kids also adopting the idea of becoming warriors too, kind of setting the stones for his future crew in a similar way that Haruna did. Which would bring Colin's character arc to an end, as he is meant to be a representation of a mixture between both sons of King Carol. At the very least, I can see all this sparking another big change in the overall culture of Elbath. Because I've been thinking this for a while now, the ideal culture for this island is somewhere between their old one and the one that King Carol wanted for them. You know, where they're not completely closed off to the world, they're still trying to establish relations and trades with other nations, but they are still keeping up their warrior training and mindset. I don't really know the best way to describe it, but I think that's where Oda's trying to lead us to by the end of this arc. Now, one thing I really appreciated from this chapter is that we finally got that map that Oda usually gives us about midway through an arc to show us exactly where each group is currently in relation to one another, because it was starting to get a little confusing trying to figure out who was where. I also appreciated that we did not at all check in with Luffy's group. Now that the stakes are starting to rise with the God Knights, I'd honestly prefer that we don't check back in with them until we're much closer to the end of the conflict. That way we can really give time for the Giants, Scopper, and the rest of the Straw Hats to actually be the focus. Speaking of the Straw Hats, Oda once again tricked us with the ending of the last chapter. I thought, based on what happened with Gunko, that she had pieced off with Colin and was letting them fall down to the underworld, but turns out she captured them too, though they don't plan to really do anything with the crew, since their mission is only to take over Elbath, not to fight a Yonko. I guess in their minds, they think Luffy won't do anything to stop them as long as they don't touch his crew, which, given his history, I don't know how they thought that would be how things are going to play out, but it's the plan they have for now. Though Gunko does attempt to take Brook as her own personal music slave as she finally recognizes him in this chapter. But here's the thing, Brook also recognized Gunko once he got a close-up look at her. And this is just adding more to the mystery about Brook's past before becoming a pirate, because now we have to throw in the possibility that at some point prior, these two actually met. And based on Gunko seemingly reacting to the pain from an old wound acting up, they might have fought before. There's definitely something going on here between the two of them, some kind of shared past that Oda's hinting at, because very quickly, Gunko knocks Brook pretty far away from everyone else and begins to beat on him, far enough away that perhaps no one would be able to overhear any conversation that they may have. Again, it's still pretty up in the air on exactly whose side Gunko's on here. Could be this whole time she's just been playing her role and is now using this opportunity to both keep Brook from blowing her cover, but also give him crucial info that could help the Straw Hats stop them. But if it does turn out that she is a spy, then I think it's going to be revealed that at the very least, Somber's caught onto it. Because with that context in mind, it does seem like a lot of his interactions with her in this arc have been him questioning her loyalty, and since she doesn't seem to have the same title in her name, he probably already didn't trust her. Again, we'll have to wait and see exactly how this ends up playing out, but speaking of waiting, I think Robin and Chopper are owed a bit of an apology, because it looks like them sitting and waiting while Saul took a beating from Sombers in the last chapter was actually the right call. Turns out Saul knew the God Knights had the ability to regenerate, which also confirms that it's not just Gunko who can do it, and he knew that they really didn't stand a chance of winning against him, so if they wanted to save the kids, then the two had no choice but to hide and wait for the right moment. So yeah, as much as we the readers like to think that she should have jumped in to help, Robin did make the right choice here despite how hard it was for her to do it. And now at the end here, we have her gearing up to make her move. Just not exactly sure what that move is, but we do see her heading somewhere on a snake made of her own hands, so she does have some kind of plan in mind. Again, we'll just have to wait and see exactly what that plan is. We also see one Scopper Gaban heading off after him and Ripley hear that their son was also captured, so we are going to be seeing him in action very, very soon. But the only problem is that now that we know that all the God Knights have that regeneration power, it doesn't seem like even Scopper really stands a chance against them. Hell, even the monster trio, who we all thought would easily stomp on these three, we had to question if even they would win. I mean, sure, they could more than likely still overpower them, but as long as the God Knights can continue to heal like this, then they're going to be able to continue going on in the fight until the monster trio, Scopper, or anyone they fight ends up running out of steam. This regen power is very similar to what we saw the Gorosei use in the last arc, and the only thing that was able to shut off their abilities was the powerful blast of Haki Joy Boy has stored inside of Elbath. So unless Scopper is either able to do it himself or teach Luffy, this battle just completely shifted in the God Knight's favor.